Welcome to the deep dive. Here's a thought, maybe a bit unsettling. What if the people you trust the most are actually, well, your biggest risk?
And flipping that coin, what if your fiercest opponents actually hold a key to your success? It's quite a counterintuitive idea.
Exactly. Today we're diving deep into these really fascinating, sometimes harsh, dynamics of trust, friendship, and even enmity. We're looking specifically through the lens of Law 2, never put too much trust in friends, learn how to use enemies, from the 48 Laws of Power.
It's true. The source material we're digging into today really does challenge how most of us think about relationships, about power. It's full of, practical insights into why people behave the way they do.
Right.
So our mission today really is to uncover why friends might betray you more quickly than enemies, which sounds crazy, I know. And we'll look at how historical figures have either mastered this or failed, often tragically.
And to make it real, we've got two powerful contrasting stories. First, the downfall of Byzantine Emperor Michael III. He put, well, all this trust in his best friend. Big mistake.
Huge mistake.
And then the flip side,
Mm-hmm.
the incredible, long-lasting success of Emperor Sung of China. He was famous for turning his enemies into loyal subjects.
It's an amazing contrast.
Doesn't that just immediately make you pause and think about, your own circles? Okay, so let's really get into this core idea. It feels uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
Why are we warned against trusting friends? Law 2 lays it out pretty bluntly. Friends will betray you more quickly. They get envious easily. They can become spoiled and even tyrannical. It basically says you've got more to fear from friends than enemies. That just goes against everything we're taught.
It absolutely does. And a lot of it comes down to some, subtle psychology. Think about it. Your friends, they often agree with you just to avoid conflict, right?
Sure. Keep things smooth.
Exactly. They might hide parts of themselves you wouldn't like or, flatter you a bit too much, which means you might never really know how they truly feel or what's going on beneath the surface. Honesty, ironically, doesn't always strengthen friendship in these power dynamics. It can lead to this false sense of security. That very comfort zone you have with friends can create massive blind spots. You miss the real feedback, maybe even simmering resentment.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting for me. The problem with actually employing friends or doing them big favors,
Yeah.
your kindness, like giving them a job or showering them with gifts, it can actually throw everything off balance.
Yeah.
The source suggests people deep down want to feel like they deserve their good fortune. They earned it.
Right.
And getting a big favor can feel, well, less like a gift and more like an obligation.
Huh.
Or even like a subtle put down.
A bit condescending,
Like
right?
they were chosen just because they're a friend, not because they were the best person for the job.
Exactly. And that's where the trouble really brews. That little touch of condescension, even if you didn't mean it at all, it can quietly fester. It becomes this secret resentment, maybe a slow burning envy. So the advice is, look, if you never expect gratitude from a friend when you help them, you might be pleasantly surprised sometimes. But never, ever underestimate how powerful ingratitude can be when those feelings get mixed up.
Let's make this concrete. The book calls it a transgression of the law. It's the dramatic story of Emperor Michael III and Basilius.
Oh, this is a classic example.
Right, mid-9th century Byzantium. Michael III is young, inexperienced, surrounded by people plotting against him. He desperately needs someone loyal.
A common problem for rulers.
So he turns to his best friend, Basilius. Now, Basilius started as a stable groom, no government experience whatsoever, but he'd saved Michael's life from a wild horse. So Michael saw love, loyalty, gratitude.
Your qualities you'd think you want.
Exactly. So Michael just showers Basilius with gifts, power, everything. Educates him, makes him head of the stables, then chief advisor, double his salary, triples it, makes him a noble. He even marries Basilius off to his own mistress, Eudoxia.
Just keeps piling on the favors.
Yeah. But Basilius, seeing all this power up close, gets greedy. He wants more. He starts whispering in Michael's ear about Michael's uncle Bardas. Bardas was actually competent, head of the army, helped Michael get the throne.
But Basilius painted him as ambitious, a threat.
Right. And Michael buys it. He agrees to have Bardas killed. And guess who does the deed?
Basilius himself.
During a horse race, Basilius stabs Bardas dead.
Yeah.
And boom, he replaces Bardas as head of the army.
So he climbs higher and higher on Michael's favor and Bardas's corpse.
Pretty much. So Basilius's power grows, his wealth grows. Meanwhile, Michael's kind of broke from his own spending. He asks Basilius, his best friend who owes him everything, to maybe repay some money he'd borrowed.
And Basilius?
Refuses.
Yeah.
Flat out. Impudently.
Oh. Wow, the nurse.
And Michael suddenly has this horrible realization. This guy, the former stable boy, now has more money, more allies in the army, more allies in the Senate. He actually has more power than the emperor.
He created his own rival.
Totally. Weeks later, Michael's drinking heavily one night. He wakes up, surrounded by Basilius's soldiers.
Oh.
Basilius just watches as they stab Michael to death. Then he proclaims himself emperor. And the final image. Basilius rides through Byzantium, displaying Michael's head on a pike.
Chilling. Absolutely chilling. Michael staked everything on gratitude, on friendship. He thought because Basilius owed him so much, he'd be forever loyal. But instead, he basically created a monster.
Yeah.
He let someone see power up close, someone who maybe felt burdened by all that charity. Basilius just conveniently forgot the favors and decided he'd earned it all himself.
It really shows how friendship, affection, it can just blind you to your actual interests, especially when power's involved.
It reminds me of that Voltaire quote, Lord, protect me from my friends. I can take care of my enemies.
That hits hard after that story. Okay, so if friends are this risky, I mean, where do you find reliable allies? This is where the source gets really provocative. It says enemies can be an untapped gold mine.
It sounds completely backwards, doesn't it?
It really does. What's the logic there?
Well, the core idea is this. Someone who has something to prove, maybe a former enemy you've shown mercy to, or someone you've brought over to your side, they will often work incredibly hard for you, much harder than a friend might.
Why? Because they feel they have to earn their place.
Exactly. Their loyalty isn't assumed, it's earned, it's understood. Their relationship with you is often clearer, based more on mutual self-interest, maybe respect. It's not tangled up with all those complicated personal feelings and expectations that come with friendship. There's a certain clarity.
Okay, this brings us perfectly to the observance of the law. The story of Emperor Sung of China. This is fascinating.
A much happier story, thankfully.
Yeah. So AD 959, General Chao Guangyin becomes Emperor Song. He inherits this situation in China where, for ages, generals just kept killing emperors in coups.
Yeah.
Constant violence.
A terrible pattern. He knew the history.
He knew the odds were terrible. He figured he'd probably be murdered within a year or two like the others. So how does he break the cycle?
What does he do differently?
Soon after taking power, he invites all his most powerful army commanders to this big banquet. Lots of wine flows. Then he dismisses his guards. Everyone's probably thinking, okay, here it comes. He's going to kill us.
The tension must have been immense.
Right. But instead, he speaks to them. He says essentially, look, instead of us continuing this cycle of bloodshed, how about this? Resign your commands. In return, I'll give you vast riches, beautiful estates. You can live out your days in peace and honor.
Wow. Instead of the sword, he offers gold and retirement.
Exactly. The generals were stunned. But the very next day, they all resigned, became nobles, retired peacefully.
Incredible.
In one move, Sung turned this whole pack of potentially dangerous friendly wolves, his own generals, into like docile lambs enjoying their wealth. And he didn't stop there. He kept using this trinity. He turned actual enemies into loyal subjects.
Okay, give us an example.
Take King Lu of Southern Han. He'd been rebelling for years. Finally, he surrenders. What does Sung do? Throws him in prison, executes him.
The usual playbook, maybe.
Nope. Sung gives him a rank at the imperial court, invites him to the palace for wine to, seal the deal. Lu is terrified. He thinks the wine is poisoned. He won't drink it.
Understandable fear.
So Sung just picks up the cup himself, drinks it down, proves there's no poison.
Builds trust through action.
And from that moment, Lu becomes one of Sung's most trusted, loyal friends. Really friends this time.
Amazing.
Or Jian Shu, king of another rival kingdom. Sung's ministers come to him with proof, actual papers, that Jian Shu is plotting against him. They say, lock him up, execute him.
Seems like solid advice in that context.
But Sung ignores them. He honors Jian Shu publicly. Then, as Jian Shu is leaving to go home, Sung gives him a sealed package. Tells him, open this when you're halfway home.
Ooh, what was inside?
All the documents proving Jian Shu's conspiracy.
Whoa!
Jian Shu realizes Sung knew everything. He knew I planned to kill him, and he spared me anyway. He chose mercy.
That would certainly make an impression.
Total loyalty won right there.
What's so brilliant about Sung's method is how systematic it was. He just kept transforming threats into allies. Unlike Michael, Sung had zero illusions about relying on friends in powerful positions. He saw the danger.
Right.
He understood that a friend often just expects more and more favors, maybe feels entitled. but a pardoned enemy, especially one who knows they've been spared. They're often incredibly eager to prove their loyalty, to show they're worthy of that second chance.
It's based on something tangible, not just assumed affection.
Exactly. Self-interest, gratitude for mercy, a desire to prove themselves. This strategy, prioritizing clear incentives and redemption over assumed friendship, let the Song dynasty rule for over 300 years. They broke that cycle of violence.
It really makes you think of Abraham Lincoln, right? When he was asked why he didn't destroy his enemies,
Yeah.
he said, "Why, madam, do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends?" Sung really lived that idea. Okay, so we've talked about transforming enemies into friends, which is already pretty mind-bending. But the sources suggest something else, even more intriguing. Sometimes it's actually better to keep enemies as enemies. Why on earth would you do that?
Well, it ties into focus and sharpness. Enemies, believe it or not, can keep you on your toes. They sharpen your wits, keep you focused, alert. Without opponents, the argument goes, we tend to get lazy, complacent.
I kind of see that. Like needing competition to stay sharp.
Precisely. There's this old story about King Harrow. Apparently, he had terrible bad breath, but none of his friends or courtiers ever dared to tell him.
Awkward.
Very. He only found out when an enemy, in the middle of an insult, actually pointed it out scornfully.
Huh. So the enemy gave him the truth his friends withheld.
Exactly. It highlights how enemies, while unpleasant, can sometimes deliver those crucial, uncomfortable truths that friends just won't. They force you to see your flaws.
That's a harsh, but maybe useful truth. And Mao Zedong really seemed to grasp this, didn't he? Using conflict almost strategically.
Oh, absolutely. Mao saw conflict as central to maintaining power and strength.
Tell us about that example during the Japanese invasion in 1937. China's in a civil war, Japan invades, interrupting it.
Right. And some communist leaders wanted to basically take a break, let the nationalists do the heavy fighting against Japan, and recuperate.
Seems logical on the surface.
But Mao argued against it. He said, look, the Japanese won't be able to occupy all of China forever. And if we sit back and do nothing, our forces will get rusty, lose their edge.
Keep the blade sharp through use.
Exactly. His plan was to keep fighting, engage the Japanese where possible. That plan was adopted. And the combat experience they gained during that period was crucial later on in defeating the nationalists after World War II ended.
Wow.
Years later, Mao apparently even thanked a Japanese visitor for the invasion.
Seriously?
Yeah. He explained basically, without a worthy opponent, a man or a group cannot grow stronger. He saw the struggle itself as vital. It makes you really look at Mao's specific strategy with enemies, doesn't it?
Yeah, what were the key elements?
Well, first, he stressed you have to be certain of victory in the long run. Don't pick fights you can't eventually win.
Okay.
Second, and this is quite Machiavellian if you don't have any obvious enemies, sometimes you need to create a convenient target. He was known to even turn former friends or allies into enemies when it suited his political goals.
Ouch. Define yourself against something.
Precisely. Which leads to the third point. Use enemies to clearly define your cause for the public. Frame it as a simple struggle, good versus evil, us versus them. Mao actively encouraged disagreements, even with the Soviet Union and the US later on. Why? Because he believed that without those clear external adversaries, the Chinese people would lose their sense of identity, their sense of what Chinese communism even stood for.
So the enemy becomes part of your own definition.
A sharply defined enemy can be a much more powerful rallying cry, a stronger argument for your side than any amount of positive rhetoric. The source basically advises, don't shy away from conflict. Use your enemies, use the struggle to build your reputation as someone strong, someone who can fight and win.
Okay, this whole deep dive has definitely made me rethink trust and relationships in a power context. But is there ever a time when friends can be useful strategically? The sources mention a reversal.
Yes, there is a caveat, though it comes with huge warnings. While it's generally really risky, friends can sometimes be useful for, let's say, dirty work.
Why them specifically?
Because their affection, their personal loyalty, might make them willing to take risks or do things that a more detached employee or ally wouldn't.
Okay, I see.
They can also, and this is cynical, serve as a convenient scapegoat if things go wrong.
Ah, the fall of the favorite.
Exactly. Kings use this trick for centuries. Sacrifice a close advisor or friend when a policy fails. The public often finds it hard to believe the ruler would deliberately sacrifice a friend, so it deflects blame from the top.
But the cost
Is enormous. You lose that friend forever, obviously. It's a card you can probably only play once, and the source suggests reserving it for someone close, but maybe not your absolute closest confidant.
Still, The fundamental warning from the source seems crystal clear. Mixing friendship with professional or strategic dealings just muddies the waters. It confuses boundaries.
Absolutely. The distance needed in professional life, the objective judgment, it often gets compromised by personal feelings when friends are involved.
So what's the final word on using friends then?
The larger takeaway is maybe this. If, and it's a big if, both people involved truly understand all these dangers we've talked about, if they understand the need for strict boundaries, maybe, just maybe, a friend can be employed effectively.
But with extreme caution.
Extreme caution. You can never let your guard down. You have to be constantly vigilant, watching for those subtle signs of emotional trouble, the envy, the ingratitude we mentioned, because nothing is ever truly stable in the realm of power. And even the closest friends, as Michael III learns so tragically, can become your very worst enemies.
Wow. This deep dive has really unpacked some seriously counterintuitive ideas about power and relationships. The core insight feels stark, doesn't it? It's natural to lean on friends, but maybe the path to real security, lasting power involves understanding this complex psychology of gratitude or the lack of it, and learning how to strategically engage with people who might have started out as adversaries.
Yeah, and knowledge like this is only really valuable if you understand it and can think about how to apply it, right? The stories of Michael III and Emperor Sung are such powerful object lessons. They really challenge you.
They do.
They make you consider not just who you trust, but why you trust them and how that trust is built, or how easily it can be broken. It forces a critical look at all your assumptions about relationships.
Yeah, the surprising facts from today really hammer home that the world, especially where power is concerned, can be a harsh place. Our gut instincts about trust. Sometimes they can lead us way off course, thinking about Michael and Sung. What really stands out to you listening to this? How might understanding these dynamics maybe change how you look at alliances or even conflicts in your own work or life?
That really makes me wonder, and maybe it makes you wonder too. When you think about your own world, your own sphere of influence, who are your friends and who are your enemies, maybe, just maybe, what new possibilities open up if you start rethinking those roles you've automatically assigned them?
Definitely something to chew on for your next big challenge.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep diving deep.